The morning Esther buried her mother, Grace did not come home. She had called 3 times from the funeral home parking lot. 3 calls, 3 voicemails, 3 moments where Esther stood in the Atlanta heat in a black dress that was too tight across the chest because she had not had time to buy a new one. Pressing the phone to her ear and listening to her sister's voice asked her to leave a message. The casket was closed. The flowers were white lilies and Esther had paid for all of it. Grace came home 6 weeks later with a suitcase, a bruised jaw, and a baby. The baby's name was Muna. She was 11 months old, with her sister's wide forehead and enormous dark eyes that watched everything and trusted nothing. Grace stood in the doorway of her sister's apartment on Peachtree Street and said nothing for a long time. She did not apologize for missing the funeral. She did not explain the bruises. She only held the baby out towards Esther, the way one holds out something too heavy to carry alone. And Esther, because she was Esther, because she had always been Esther, took the child. And that was the beginning. Timothy had not wanted it. He made that clear the first night, sitting at the kitchen table with his hands flat on the surface, the way he always did when he was trying to stay calm. He was a good man in many ways, steady and faithful, the kind of man who came home every evening and fixed things when they broke. But he was also a man with a plan, and a baby was not in his plan. He asked how long. I don't know, Esther replied honestly. He looked at the baby sleeping in the crib. He said nothing that night, trying to avoid problem. Grace stayed for 3 weeks. She slept in the guest room and came out mostly at night, ate what Esther left in the kitchen, and spent very little time with Muna. Esther was the one who woke at 2 in the morning. Esther was the one who learned that Muna hated cold formula, but would drink it warm if you held the bottle at exactly the right angle. Esther was the one who discovered the small birthmark behind Muna's left ear, and dark and round like a coffee stain, and who pressed her lips to it every night before laying her down. Then one Tuesday morning, Grace was gone. No note, no call. She just disappeared. But Muna was still there. 12 years passed, the way years passed when you were too busy leaving a count. Muna grew up in Esther's house, in Esther's name, surrounded by Esther's love. She grew tall like Grace, but laughed like nobody in the family. Loud and sudden, as if joy always caught her by surprise. She called Esther mom from the first time she learned how to talk. And ever since, Esther never corrected her because the word felt true. Timothy had come around slowly, the way cold men sometimes do when a child refuses to let them stay cold. By the time Mona was 4, he was the one teaching her how to ride bike. They sacrificed all and gave Mona everything, the good school in Buckhead, the ballet lessons Mona begged for, and then hated but stuck with because she said she did not want to be a quitter. The college savings account Esther opened when Mona was 6 and fed quietly every month the way you tend a garden. Never announcing it, she gave Mona her own mother's gold earring on the morning of Mona's 13th birthday, tiny hopes with a small cross cut into each one. Mona had hugged her and she was so happy. Grace came back when Mona was 14. She appeared at the front door on a Wednesday evening looking nothing like the woman who had left. The bruises were long-heeled and she was well dressed. Esther stood at the door and felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "Why are you here?" she asked. "And you said you are ready. Ready for what?" To be Muna's mom, Grace said quietly. The months that followed were the longest of Esther's life. She did not take Muna immediately. She was smarter than that. She came on weekends first, taking Muna to the movies, to brunch, to the nail salon on the Camp Creek Park. On the day of her graduation, Muna stood in the podium and began her speech. "The person who made me who I am," Muna said into the microphone, her voice very clear and practiced, "is my mother, my real mother. the woman who gave me birth and who birthed me and never stopped loving me, even when life got hard. She fought to come back to me. She never gave up. The auditorium filled with soft, appreciative sound. Her name is Grace, Mona said, and she is everything I want to be. On Esther's right side, Grace made a small sound, half sob and half something else. On Esther's left side, Timothy went very still. And Esther sat in the third row in her navy blue dress with her hands still folded in her lap. And she did not move. She did not make a sound. And the gold earrings on her daughter's ears caught the light again and again and again while the applause rose around. She did not cry until she reached the car. Even then, she did cry, but she cried silently. And in that moment, she regretted ever taking her sister's child as her own. What did you learn from this? Would you carry a stranger's child and train them, or would you rather not?